Haze is the name of this new neat piece from Spleene. It is essentially the successor of the QX that is already known to some people. A Freeride 4-strut kite that is supported by a 4-point bridle with 2 pulleys. The steering lines are directly connected to the tip and there are 2 options for bar pressure and turning speed. Similar to the core company, there is another trim system on the leading edge. The outermost point of the bridle line has 3 different options to also change the agility and pull, here as well as the position of the kite in the wind window. The bridle is kept very short, accordingly you only need line deflectors at the end of the leading edge here. As with all known 3 or 5 strut kites, the ventilation valve is located in the middle of the kite here. On top of the regular Keda seam and the ceiling of it, there is again a webbing strap here with a doubling, which is then sewn up in addition. A very high quality quad ripstop material is used here as a fabric for the canopy. This canopy extends far into the tips. Only the outermost pointed edge is reinforced with a Dacron material. The entire trailing edge additionally has a wide closed doubling. And in addition, there are 3 more plastic battens on each side of the tips, so that the trailing edge cannot flap here. All struts are each attached to the canopy with a single seam, and closed doubling are sewn up again. Abrasion and impact points are reinforced with a fine Cordura material. And the transition from the canopy to the leading edge is adorned with a thin closed doubling. What we have here is a consistently well-performing freeride kite that with its 4 struts, it's pretty much exactly in between the performance potential of a 3-strut freerider and a 5-strut freerider. A very fast approaching flow and the evenly high base draft allows for a consistently good planning performance. And with a few movements, it can be accelerated even more. Since the Haze has been given a very slim leading edge and since the profile is not too low, the kite goes very well upwind. And this of course applies to both of the use with the foil as well as the twin tip. The entire bar feel is sporty and direct all the way through. However, we have quite right retention forces overall for such a sporty freerider. They are noticeable above the medium range. They do provide good feedback, but the overall feel is rather physical. If we also have a look at the base draft in this context, which as mentioned before turns out to be even and high, the two fit well together overall. The flight pattern shows even round radii, which due to the conception without a center strut. There the kite can twist just a bit more than other models. Also has a very tight turning capacity. All of this is accompanied by a medium to high flight speed. With low as well as high wind, the Haze shows a very nice flight stability. The profile, as already mentioned at the beginning, flows at any time very quickly and cleanly, and also allows for an even drift under full pressure so that the profile holds up when even with minimal line tension. And there is nothing to complain about regarding the D-power performance either. Pushing away the bar reduces the pressure very effectively, allowing for a wide wind range. When jumping, it creates a consistently good lift for a sporty freerider and also a good hang time. What is particularly noticeable, however, is that it leads intuitively to the jump due to the really good bar feedback and that it does not generate any transverse forces before the jumping. So it can also be jumped well here with the simplest technique. A sheet and go to the takeoff, simply pulling the bar, does not lead to the maximum performance here. It does require a bit of steering so that it can execute a nice long flight phase. From its flight speed, it creates a really decent pop on unhooked jumps. It can definitely create a lot of fun here, and the slack is also slightly noticeable here all the way through. For a sporty freeride kite, there are pretty decent performances here. Of course, foiling is definitely a growing topic these days, so a pure freeride kite also has to able to hold its own there. And the Haze also manages this with a good performance. Despite a low line tension, it still hangs well on the steering here. It may not always have 100% optimal positioning at the edge of the wind window, but it doesn't have a tendency to show any stalling there either. So it's completely even regarding the balance between leading and trailing edge. So it's very comfortable to fly here in this area as well. And that's where it all starts for a rider with an average weight of 80 kg and the 12 square meter haze at 8 knots. Certainly it's notable now, where did the water start go? I will be provided for us later because the delivered bore was not yet ready for serious production, though that changes should still be made there, and which we will present you again in a separate video at a later point. All in all, one can agree with Spleene here in that a 4-strut kite is quite competitive, rather clearly because of the medium torsion in the middle section. It allows for a 12 square meter to have a really amazingly good turning capacity. And since the finishing touches have really been done optimally in all these areas now, it can consistently convince in an insanely good all-rounder in all disciplines. So it provides fun here. It has its own note on slightly higher retention and steering forces, which appeals to the sporty driver who can also grip a bit harder at times. But all this is not so excessive either that we would have to identify it's a really disturbing factor here. As mentioned, it all seems very sophisticated in terms of concept here. Also convincing is definitely a really high quality material selection and a matching, very decent and clean workmanship. We would definitely say that's really suitable here.